Welcome to DeGay's Watch Degrassi, the podcast where my expertise
and my skepticism
shine a new rainbow on this Canadian after school special. How about that? We didn't even rehearse. We still remember how to do that from season 1. Thank you everyone who is joining us for season 2. We're very excited to sink our teeth into this new season, especially because we added a soundboard to the show. So we're going to be bringing some fun Degrassi noises up into the podcast. Here, let's give one a try.
Yo, dog!
God.
Yep, so I have to get a hang of being the soundboard person, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it, everyone. Okay, we are obviously starting off Season 2 with Season 2, Episode 1, When Doves Cry, Part 1.
Which is a Prince song?
Correct. When Doves Cry, do, 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 something like that. It came out in 1984.
Luckily, we won't be struck for copyright with that rendition.
It's so
When
obscured
doves
from
cry,
the
da,
original.
da, da, da.
I never claimed to be a singer, but I do enjoy it.
Singing or Prince?
Both. I like Party Like It's 1999. I'm fond of that one. I think it's ironic that it came out before 1999, but I like it because I feel like the year 1999 was a pretty good year when it actually occurred after the song.
Right.
But without further ado, I'm going to bring you all the synopsis.
My Discman!
You're welcome. All our favorite Degrassi kids are back at school, and we are reigniting the dramas, loves, and rivalries of Season 1. The focus of everyone but Paige's attention, however, is the artsy new kid, Craig. He's a fast heartthrob, but is he getting that same love at home from his father, who was divorced by Joey's late wife? So
Nice synopsis.
Yep, you're welcome. It's a very well-written one.
Let's get into it.
All right, let's do it. So we're starting off with Emma and Angie. They're having fun. It's like the end of summer because school's about to start.
I mean, it kind of seems creepy. It's like someone's taking a photo.
It is very strange at first, especially with the Season 1 opener of Season 1.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, is
and they
this
do
another...
the creepy music as well. The suspect.
So we don't know who this person is, but obviously this is our intro to Craig, one of the more complicated love him, hate him characters in Degrassi. I go pretty much both ways with Craig. Times where I feel for him, but then other times I'm just like, are you serious again with this?
Also will become an archetype for other Degrassi characters.
Yes.
In later seasons.
Definitely. Very much like the Emma-Manny friendship duo gets repeated in future seasons, Craig's character gets repeated in future seasons. Eli is a big parallel, a lot of people point out. And then that just fits straight in with Manny and Emma being succeeded by Claire and Allie because it just all fits in.
Nice little fit-in circle.
So then after we see Craig taking pictures of them, we see him coming home to his dad. His glasses are a big part of his look and the symbolism that carries on throughout the show later.
Also, the actor's IMDb profile, he's bald now.
Yes, he is bald now, which led us to check it out and be like, what is he up to? And he is up to a good amount of stuff. He's in that new show Yellowstone.
Oh.
I think that my parents watch it, so...
There we go.
Yeah. So good for him. He's doing his thing. I love watching a show just to see, 30 seconds of a Degrassi person.
Well, at least, also a bit of a spoiler, his character isn't the best one, so it's cool you can at least get roles again. I feel like the person who shoots Drake,
Yeah, although someone posted him doing a different role recently in one of the groups I'm in on Facebook, and he looked completely different. His hair was shorter,
Mm-hmm.
and he looked good. They were like, "Oh my God, look who I saw!" And it literally, I was like, "Who is this?" It took me a second to figure out that it was Rick. It's like, holy crap, good for him too. Bug's like, "I heard you got some sushi." That is my sushi bug.
Don't be all up in my sushi.
Hey, don't get off of my fries, dog.
There you go. It's not really a super spoiler that his dad's not a good person, because pretty quickly we figure that out when he smashes plates and starts to get violent and scary because Craig was late for dinner.
For steak and corn, apparently.
Yeah, it seems like he cooks dinner a lot, which is very interesting and...
Right? Like, he's meant to be a surgeon. You'd think, like, it'd be like the at-home microwavable dinners or something, like ready meals.
Yeah, it's one of those things.
It's just a thing for him to throw, I feel like, probably.
Yeah, for sure. It's also very reminiscent of a scene from Degrassi Junior High. There's a character called Rick, but wasn't bad like new Rick. He was generally fine, you know, but he also had an abusive father who smashed plates and who beat him up. And Joey actually saw it and figured it out and was the one who reported it. So it's very interesting that Joey is wrapped up in this plot with Craig and also continuously throughout Craig's life, and they really bring a lot of Joey's plots from the old show back to life with Craig. Craig is obviously scared of him. Here we go with the new intro. It's largely the same with just a few additions. Craig gets added with his camera taking a picture, and there's another addition of Joey standing with the kids that he ends up sponsoring and that storyline in a later episode, so that he gets a credit because he becomes a really central character in season 2, where he's more in the background in season 1. When doves cry, do-do-do-do-do-do. Throughout this episode, we're coming up on school. It's the first day of school. Throughout this episode, Toby has this camera thing. It's like a camera that's on one of those extendable forks. And you said it looked sort of like a camera that was for the Game Boy at the time.
Yeah.
But it could be something else too. It seems like he's either filming or taking photos throughout this episode. And he's trying to help JT with his mission to get an older woman. So this little first scene where everyone's arriving at school, I'm calling it the lightning exposition round, because we very quickly get caught up on all the old plot points that are coming back and all the new ones. JT is determined to get an older woman. That is one of the first plots that we are cemented with. And you know what? I'm gonna give JT our first fashion crime.
Me, a fashion criminal.
Because he is wearing those really tiny glasses.
I thought they looked cool.
Those are back in, honestly. And his classic, really brightly colored shirt with a really brightly colored hat worn backward. Luckily, his fashion senses haven't changed yet, and we get to enjoy monochrome JT looks for a while longer. Craig's getting dropped off by his dad. Fancy car, nice house. We're getting kind of clues about that surgeon thing that hasn't been mentioned yet. He speeds off. You know, they cement early on that he drives recklessly and he's a reckless person. Lightning exposition strike number 2. Manny and Emma both see Craig, and Manny says, "Is that the pitter-patter of your heart? No, wait, that's mine." Emma says, "Proof that summer is so overrated." So that's right away, there's going to be a love triangle-ish situation between these three.
Competition?
Yeah, competition's a better way to put it. They both have a crush on him, and that leads to some strife later on. So here we go, just boom, 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 setting up all the plots that are going to happen this season. They high-five with
Boxing gloves?
Boxing gloves. No logical reason why they do that.
It's never brought up again.
No, they don't do boxing to
class.
our knowledge. No.
What?
It's just there for that second. So they can do a silly high five with the gloves.
So they could have just high-fived.
Could they have? So, up
I'm
next.
still hung up on this boxing glove.
And it kind of looked like they were still attached together as well. I'm not 100% sure, but it looked like they might have been, so they had to walk in such a way.
Could you imagine that being your,
that
like, gym?
didn't.
Like, maybe it's, like, their PE equipment, you know? Like, how it's like, you must bring one pair of shoes and, like, pair of shorts. Boxing gloves.
And then what? Are they going to box each other?
Right? I know. I'd be like, wait, I'm supposed to get what for my child?
That seems off-key for 8th grade gym.
They're gonna be whacking each other in the face.
Yeah, I don't think that works. Next, we learn that it's crowded. Jimmy and Spinner talking about how it's like a zoo in there because, as we will learn more of later, there's a school closure situation that leads to, conveniently, the high school being conglomerated into what was previously described as just a middle school, 7-8.
Oh.
So that's extremely convenient because then we get to keep watching everyone do stuff in the same school in the same location. How convenient is that? This is an extremely common trope in Canadian TV where schools close or schools combine in ways where you're like, really? Would that happen in real life? I never been to school in Canada, so if you're Canadian, correct us if you're wrong, if you went through several school closures in your
Correct
time.
us if you're wrong.
Oh, sorry.
Maybe they should correct us if we're wrong.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. But
correct us
yes.
if you're wrong. I don't know anything.
If you want to send us that email too, I'll read it. You know? But later on, Lakehurst burns down or something, and they end up in Degrassi, even though that seems somewhat unlikely. And in the other show I've mentioned, Ready or Not, they go through a similar situation where a school is closed something.
I had that in public school. Like, another school was, like, having theirs, like, renovation, so they used part of our campus or something.
So did you have those people in your classes all of a sudden?
No. So I guess it wasn't really like that. It's hella weird.
Yeah, at least there's some kind of precedent for it. But they say it's like a zoo, and then Jimmy says, and there's one of the monkeys now, referring to Sean. So, lightning exposition strike number 3.
They still don't like each other?
Yes, they still don't like each other. They still aren't friends. That hasn't changed. Jimmy's really not over that Ashley makeout session. I'm not really over it either. Sean, why? You're supposed to be with Emma. Or Ellie when she comes. But we'll get to that later. He's walking around, and then he runs into Craig. Anyway, he says, why did you run into me? And Craig's like, well, I'm just directionally challenged. And there's a bunch of girls saying, oh, hey, cutie, hey. So obviously everyone likes Craig. He's the shiny new object. And lightning exposition strike number 4. This is the new friendship, Sean and Craig. They are going to be friends in this season.
So is he, like, friends because he's like, oh, he'll get me chicks or something? Because he seems like a dick at the start. He's like, why are you bumping into me? And he says, buy a map, you know?
Yes.
He's only like, it just seems like he's only nice.
I think it's more that Craig isn't intimidated by Sean. And so Sean's like, okay, cool. Because that's just Sean's personality to act that way. Especially now that there's no Emma to,
I think you're just trying to over-explain why Sean... You're, like, defending Sean.
Okay, whatever. We can move on. Jimmy's so mad.
Got some enemies. Got a lot of enemies.
So, Miss Kwan is telling us more about the fact that they're not fully prepared.
What's with her hand?
I actually didn't notice that until this exact moment. Her hand is, like, wrapped up like her fingers. Maybe the actor in real life had an injury.
Or she got, like, a hand tattoo or something.
That didn't look like a tattoo wrap to me.
Or maybe she was on vacation in India, got henna done, and it, like, hadn't come off for shooting.
And
What's with the Shakespeare behind also, made with, like... It's one of those where it's, like, lots of pictures that make a Shakespeare, but what's it meant? What would you have pictures of? More pictures of Shakespeare?
Maybe,
anyway,
or like plays or something. I don't know. Books he wrote. Is there that many?
Well, yeah, but that it's just weird. Anyway, gonna edit that part out.
So she's talking about the schools closing and combining, and that they may even have to share lockers, which is the first intro to Lightning Strike number 5, the Toby and JT sharing lockers plot, which is going to continue throughout the season. And then one of the funnier jokes of the episode, JT is saying, small price to pay for there to be more people. Older women, younger men, very hot. Toby says, JT York, older women, very not. Sean is late because he helped Craig find his class. And here we go, Lightning Strike number 6. Emma does not look at him, so she has not forgiven him either.
What did he do?
He shoved her while fighting with Jimmy.
Oh.
And then she broke up with him.
Oh, the after school.
Fight.
Okay.
Yes. So that is the other plot that's continuing from Mr. Simpson is homeroom for our grade 9 friends.
Also, it's funny when he's like, you get me for another 4 years, and it's like, nah, dude, we're gonna get you for like another 20 years.
You're not leaving anytime soon. You're gonna be here the whole time. It's pretty great. I should have a Mr. Simpson sting, but I don't. Here, I'll do this one instead.
You're right, very Mr. Simpson.
No, I just did that one instead. I also have a button where it does a random one.
I know I can make it through. Many of them are the Degrassi theme or some variation
Yeah,
of the theme.
I did a good amount of the themes, because the themes are the fun part, right? So...
The themes are the fun part of the episode.
So Craig is tired, and he makes a joke when Mr. Simpson wakes him up. But this is red flag number 1 with Craig. Things aren't good at home. He's not getting adequate sleep because his dad's a douchebag.
Still with the boxing glove. Manny's got the boxing gloves on. Why is Miss Kwan's hands covered? Why is Manny's hands covered? Was there a weird hand epidemic?
For sure, that's it. That's definitely it.
Paige in the butterfly shirt.
But we get introduced to, formally, Toby and JT decided to share a locker for some reason. And Manny is like, should we tell them now or later that this is going to ruin their friendship? So... that very much is leading into that plot that we already mentioned. But yes, as you said, Paige gets a fashion crime ticket for her butterfly shirt and her mullet.
You guys want a real fashion crime?
So this is introducing the plot that Paige is upset because her hair looks bad, and it's going to cost her $80 to fix it. She has $50 saved up, but her parents want her to clean out the garage to make up the other $30. So we did some really fun and futile math for this part. we took $80 Canadian and translated that at 2002, which is when this was recorded. So that equals $53 in US at the time. But then when we converted that with inflation, then that equals $80 US now. So it ends up being the same amount that Paige is talking about.
Kind of weird, though.
Yeah, it was really funny to do that. So, and
that
then
pointless math.
Yes, and then it was like $30.25 for $30 when I calculated that out. So it's very similar on that side too. That's how much money we're talking about here for her to fix her hair. Seems a little bit expensive for just a haircut, but probably not for Paige. She's kind of a princess. Then Craig pops in and says, there's laws against child labor because she's complaining about cleaning out the garage. And she says, okay, thanks, Mr. News at 9. Or
5.
Thanks, Mr. News at 5. Hazel says, cute. And she's like, more like deranged. So Paige is the only one that doesn't give a flying fuck about Craig and how
true.
cute
She
and new he
never
is.
does.
Mm-hmm. She's not into it.
If it's not Spinner.
It ain't for dinner.
Oh.
But here,
and that's a sting.
Let's give it one. Tambourine. That's that Imogen tambourine.
Worst intro ever.
Ashley pops around and says, hey guys, how was your summer? And they all ignore her. So this is lightning strike number 7. Kind of lost track. My bad. But Ashley is still persona non grata. No one gives a crap about her still.
Oh, you're right. And this is just 6 minutes in, and we're already being introduced to a shit
There's
ton
been a ton of plot.
Just throw it all at the wall.
If you want a rubric for the whole season, it's just right here in this first 6 minutes. We haven't even hit a commercial. Creative choices, yo. Terry is still Ashley's closest only friend, That's for next class. Some people don't like it, but you know what? I'm not a Degrassi purist. I like all of it. Not equal amounts, but I like all of it. But with the Ashley having Terry only, they have to duck under a whale to get out.
Whale.
I don't know what's up with the whale. Do you want me to rewind so you can see it?
No, I saw the whale.
Yeah. It's the first day of school. People are bringing their macrame whales, Things you just pop in at Degrassi for the first day of school. That's all you need to know. Boxing gloves, weird cameras. It's all happening. So we get some pretty outdoor shots of Toronto. So we're in the city now. We're not at school anymore. Craig taking more pictures of Angie. We still don't know why he's doing this. But then she comes over and says how much she's missed him.
He's been in camp?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a lie.
It's just unnecessary backstory. But they're pretty cute together. And then pretty soon we get the first Canada speak moment of the episode.
Say about.
About.
I love it. She says, me and Daddy are gonna go visit Mummy. Obviously also British people say Mummy, but it seems like in Canada it's kind of split. Some people say Mom and some people say Mom. So there you go. Canada speak. And she says, do you want to come? And he says, go, tell her I miss her. So
he's like, I'll break the camera. I'll raise her from the dead. You just don't want to be around me.
That would be wild. That would be a really outlandish plot for Degrassi. And then when he leaves, the teacher person says, who was that, Angela? And she says, that's my brother. So we get confirmation that they're brother and sister. And it gets explained more explicitly later, but if you know anything, if you remember from season 1, his late wife is late, meaning that she died, And if they're brother and sister, we can basically extrapolate that they have the same mom, and he's saying, tell her I miss her, so they have the same mom.
Also, backstory of Joey's ex, or late wife, that she was a divorcee.
Yes.
Who had a child from a previous relationship.
Yes. We didn't hear about that in season 1, but it's totally plausible that that could be what happened. Okay, we are back to Toby is helping JT with his goal of getting an older woman with the Isaac system, some kind of computer program where they aggregated data in order to determine his best match. And everyone, I took the time to pause this out and copy out all the data on Terry McGregor's profile in the Isaac system. So this is everything that it says. Grade, 9. Homeroom, 9F. And then in parentheses, Simpson. So it's Mr. Simpson's homeroom. Nice factor, and factor is spelled incorrectly.
So why is homeroom part of the algorithm?
Maybe it's just informational, like, so you can
That's
know
bull.
where to
Then
catch
you don't
her.
need it. Then, right? So you know where to catch her. But then, wouldn't locker? I feel like locker would make more sense than homeroom. You know, locker location or proximity to locker. Anyway, I'm sorry. That makes no sense.
Maybe he didn't
How
have
does
access to
homeroom
that
have
data.
points? You know, like, oh, she's in Mr. Simpson's homeroom. That's 10 point. You know, like in his data thing, like, oh, Miss Kwan's homeroom. That's gonna make you a 3 point. Mr. Armstrong's homeroom, 5 points.
I just assumed
Mr. Radish homeroom, 0 points.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, you just assumed.
No, just that part was just informational. And didn't go into the algorithm or whatever.
Cool factor as well. Also, is it spelled right? Or is that Canadians? Is it factor? Is it ERs or OR?
No, it is definitely OR, and he spelled it wrong. This is more carryover from season 1. He's terrible at spelling.
Oh, okay.
It's like a little detail.
Also, like, what's cool to him? Because, like, he's the guy with the weird camera thing. Like, does she have a weird camera things?
I don't know, but
Anyway.
here's what it is. Cool factor, 4.
So, not cool.
I guess so. Cute factor, 6.
So, above average cuteness.
Mm-hmm. Nice factor, 9.
Ah!
She is very nice.
So, she's okay.
And then says hi, 9 out of 10. So I'm thinking that's like 9 out of 10 times she'd say hi to you.
So, it seems like the Isaac system is set to saying hi and niceness, and then cute factor, cool factor are kind of important, but not as much, or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I'd say. I really wish they had shown Paige's profile, because I wanted to know what her stats were, but they only zoomed in on Terry's.
Also, that means, like, Toby as well, in doing this, is went around all the girls being like, hi, 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 hi. And it's like the first day, like, seeing how many times they hi back. And so now he's going to be like the weird hi kid.
Maybe they just estimated from previous knowledge. He says, I need more of a challenge, and he clicks on Paige instead. But he only has a 0.03% chance of scoring with her. So this is another thing, like, so the data is about how cool, nice, fun, the girl is. But, so where's the data coming from on how cool he is against her to get the percent?
I think it's just like... So I think, like I said, it must be stacked with the nice and saying hi as being part of it, and Paige not being nice and probably wouldn't say hi back to Toby, so she's probably like got like a 1 and a 0 for those. So it's like, you know, what's her face? Terry
so you're
is like,
saying that's the part that determines his ability to actually date them.
yeah.
Boom. That makes sense. We're really giving a lot of benefit to the doubt to Toby's system, though. So we're moving on to visiting Joey's ex-wife, whose name was Julia. Everyone has J names.
Which is weird because, like, her last name... So her last name was Jeremiah. When just being a woman, like, she would have went through, like, 3 last names. You know? There would have been, like, your maiden name... And then when she was Manning, like, should have been, like, whatever, Manning, and then blah, Jeremiah.
Going through, and, like, if she... It sounded like... Yeah, and, like, they say later, you know, we haven't gotten to this bit, but it's that he says that she left Albert for Joey. So maybe she just changed her name directly instead of having to, like, change it and change it again.
He gave her more of a good deal on a used car.
Is that a euphemism?
I don't know.
He gave her a good deal.
On a used car.
But when they're putting the flowers on the grave, then Angie accidentally spills the beans that she's been seeing Craig. And then Joey realizes that Craig is there taking pictures. And he tries to go talk to him, but Craig runs away. This is another red flag. Why is Craig acting so weird? Because his dad is insane.
He's, like, editing himself into the photos, so it looks like he's, like, with the family.
Yeah, you think that's ew?
Well,
I think that it's kind of sad and sweet.
Well, yeah, it's sad. It's not sweet. Who sees something sad like that and is like, you're not heartbreaking, and like, that's just terrible. You're like, that's so sweet. He edited himself with Joey and his sister at his mom's grave. What a love. He's clearly nothing going on.
Well, and he says the perfect family, like, when he puts it in the, like, album, because he's, like, all sad about how terrible his dad is.
Oh, my God.
It's so sad. It's such a heartbreaker.
My disc man!
Also, just the editing of himself makes him, like, he'd be, like, way bigger than them.
My stepson and his giant head. That would be like
he's like a disembodied
show.
genie.
So he hides all the photos before going up to eat with his dad, and it's like, whoa, roast beef, mashed potatoes, Yorkshire pudding.
Say about.
A boo!
It's another not exclusively Canadian thing, but...
Well, it's from Yorkshire, which is a county.
In UK, England.
England.
Yes, it's Canadian via Britain. I don't know if there's anywhere in America where people eat Yorkshire puddings, but yes, Yorkshire puddings are really bomb.
I bet there's like some Midwestern version and it's called like something else.
Yeah. It's basically like a really light, like, not really biscuit, more like a flaky pastry sort of situation, but you bake it in a muffin tin, and then it's sort of sunken in the middle, so like the outside's really like crunchy, and then the inside's really soft and fluffy, and even a little bit like, moist even. They're really bomb, and Britain, it's not pudding, is one thing to keep in mind. Why are they called that?
I don't know, maybe because you put it in like a, like a cupcake like a pudding tray or something to
Yes.
make it.
And pudding in Britain means dessert in general. Took me a while to figure that out.
Just generic term for dessert.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you don't want an actual, like, a Christmas pudding is, like, fucking awful.
What is it?
I have no idea. It's like this ball of nasty cake.
Okay. Does it resemble pudding at all? Or is it another British thing called pudding?
It's another dessert thing, I guess. It is a dessert.
Is it like liquidy in a dish, or is
well,
it
you're supposed to, like, put it on fire or whatever before you serve it. You flambe it, kind of.
Okay. So when you're flambeing it, is it in like a tray?
No, it's like on a plate.
So it's not pudding, because you can't put pudding on a plate.
Pudding doesn't go on a plate?
Well, pudding's liquid.
Oh, you're
Like
thinking
in a-
like American pudding, like
Yeah.
mousse, or like what
I'm
you
just
get,
clarifying once
like
again.
what
that
you
it's
get
another-
from like in the hospital or something. That's your version of pudding.
Yeah, exactly.
Tubby custard.
One of those things in TV that you never got to try to eat.
I always thought it'd be strawberry flavored because it was pink.
That makes sense. I thought it looked guava-y. Is that too exotic for the Teletubbies?
I don't know.
I also wanted that Jimmy Neutron candy from that one episode.
Have we talked about this before on the podcast?
No, but we've talked about it in life before. So
Okay. But
we've
yeah.
talked about how you think it's candy and I think it's chocolate.
Well, I mean, we both think it's candy, to be fair. But I
guess.
think it's gummy and, like, delicious. Whereas you think it's, like, lady candy. Like the C's Nuts and Chew box.
I like a nut and chew. I like a nut and chew C's.
Soft centers all day. Caramel soft centers.
I love a really nutty chocolate.
I will, no, yeah. Like
a
with
hard
caramel.
ass toffee.
Or like fudge.
Now I want C's. Wonder if Uber Eats
Go
delivers
to,
that.
or Symphony Bar. Oh, Symphony Bar.
Other
Brought to you by
chocolates are-
Symphony.
Other chocolate bars are available. That's another British joke. You like that?
Back on track to pudding. We just went.
Yes, we went off slightly. He's a little bit, Albert's slightly scary using the electric knife to cut the roast beef. That has always disturbed me slightly. I don't know if it's meant to be like a reference to the fact that he's a surgeon, but I've always found it kind of scary. Like he's gonna like cut Craig with it at some moment, you know? His dad mentions that there was a message from Joey on the machine, but he's not gonna call him back. And Craig says, why not? And he says, I don't know. Why would your mom leave a surgeon for a used car salesman? The mysteries of the world are infinite to me. It's like, seriously, dude, your wife left you probably because you're an abusive asshole. I don't understand why she left Craig with him, but maybe he got worse after she left or something. Who
Pause for a
knows?
second. Maybe it's because he's a surgeon and could afford an attorney to get custody and win custody. Like maybe she cheated on him prior to getting with, formally with Joey, so used that as some sort of leverage, like I'm a surgeon,
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
I do think it's the Game Boy camera.
Yeah, if any of you know what kind of camera Toby's rocking, tell us. So it's the next day. Oh my gosh, Paige is getting another fashion crime ticket
You guys want a real
Also, I
fashion
want-
crime?
because she has a shirt with stars on her boobs, and it's like, wow, that's
Also,
like a
I
very.
wonder if that's a product placement, the yogurts they're eating.
Oh my gosh, product placement. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Hey, don't get off my fries, dog.
Product placement. They're eating yogurt. Is it Yoplait?
Who knows? Maybe it's the Canadian version of Yoplait.
Hit play, maybe. Fruit something. Fruit Yogurt. If you know what yogurt that they're eating, write in and tell us. So JT's trying to hit on Paige yet again. Offers to carry her bag. Says he'll carry it anywhere she wants. Toby's recording from far away and says, wow, you're an inspiration. Making fun of him because he's kind of failing. But he says she will be his. We're in, I think, drama class in the 9th graders, or drama as they would call it. Everyone's wearing a strange hat, or most people.
What?
It's not really explained why.
I'm Craig Manning. I'm a Caucasian male. My mom died. That's pretty much it.
If you get the reference, that is from Arrested Development. He makes a very similar speech, though, but Miss Kwan probes him to keep going. He makes kind of a weird speech about 6 billion people on the planet, and if I just disappeared, who would care? Why would it matter?
We already got 1 billion more.
This is, yeah, how about that? But this is another red flag for Craig. He's already had a couple. It's like, this is a little bit on the, I could stop existing is not the thing that you should hear your students say. Doesn't really seem like Miss Kwan does anything about it except say that, it was existential.
Now 1.6 billion.
Heather Sinclair gets another shout out. She's about to go after Craig, but obviously it pans away before we get to see her.
My disc man!
I still want us to see Heather Sinclair, but we will eventually get to the minis. So we're seeing Emma and Manny. They're talking about Craig. He's in grade 9. They get all the hotties. But then he comes over and they're like, oh my gosh. And Craig says, hey, you babysit Ange, right? So he obviously wants to see her, but they don't realize that. They're just dumbstruck. She's reading a voice called Voices of the Wild, very on brand for Emma. She's still into the environment and wolves and panthers and all types of, dolphins, anything that's sad and in need. Craig reminds her that they've met before and that they danced at Joey and Julia's wedding.
It's in Julia and Spike made them dance.
Yeah.
I mean, that happens.
Yeah. I think pretty sure I went through some very interesting things as a child.
That makes it sound weird, but yeah, I've had, yeah.
What, being at weddings or whatever. It's like, oh, it's Angela's half-brother, and Manny's like, oh, hi. It's like, girls, come on. It's funny, though.
She's like, impregnate me.
Oh, God. So they're both still really into him, and Emma decides to invite him to Spike's birthday party that's happening later on in the episode. And when he agrees to go, they do this really cute, and they squeal and stuff, and it just reminds me of the early years where they were young and innocent and not getting pregnant or getting gonorrhea. They were just being young and cute and going to hotel rooms with creepy men from the internet. Then next up, it's Albert versus Joey. Their relationship is obviously very tense. Joey is saying, our kids need to / want to see each other. I know they miss each other. And Albert's just like, he's my son, mind your own business, meh. And gets all pissy about it and just isn't even willing to have a conversation about it. That's the way that abusive people act. He gets back in his car and zooms away. Again, he's a really fast, bad driver. And that's not good for him and his life. So that's kind of another plot that they're really seeding in early in season 1. And now we have another product placement moment.
7 Slammin' Spices.
They're at the corner store that I think may eventually become the Dot. It's kind of hard to tell, but it looks kind of like the Dot from the outside. But they are drinking Sprite and eating Doritos as they talk about how their strategy to get Paige back. Oh, the old Dorito bags. Oh, I remember those. JT just goes for it and says, Paige, let's go out. We'll go out and see if we click. If we click, then we'll talk commitment. And this is playing a two-way thing. JT is determined to get Paige, but Paige thinks that she's fallen to such a level because of her mullet that people like JT thinks it's okay to ask her out. Being that this is said, they hatch a plan. How about those $30 that you've been wanting to, redo your hair? We'll pay you to go out with JT. This is the whatever it takes moment of the episode. Whatever it takes. You like that? Mm-hmm. I got one more. Actually, I lied. I got one more.
Oh, God. That's the worst one.
This is the whatever it takes moment of the episode. Paige is going to do whatever it takes to fix her rep. She can't have people like JT thinking it's okay to go out with her, and she can't have her mullet ruining her 9th grade life. So as she's contemplating taking the bet, Spinner says it's about the earwigs, little pinchers, which I thought is funny. It's kind of a reference back to season 1 when he brings the earwigs into the cafeteria.
They do pinch, though. They're bitches.
I've never gotten pinched by one.
I have. Hurts.
I know, I really don't. I've seen, droves of them, too.
Ergo, hair grow.
I think, it was like getting one off of you. That I got, bit once.
Oh, well, thank you for sacrificing yourself so I didn't have to have that happen. I really appreciate it because that's disgusting. She decides that it's worth it to take the date with JT for $30, and she doesn't have to clean out the garage. They're reading a magazine called Verve. I haven't heard of Verve. Is Verve real? Is that a French word, maybe? Is it French-Canadian? Sorry if I'm totally incorrect, but tell us more about Verve, you Canadian people, you. Then we go over to Spike's birthday party. This is where the one deleted scene of the episode is. There's a long, deleted, extended scene with Spike, Snake, Joey, and Yick from junior and high school all dancing together to Taking Care of Business. And there's this funny part where Spike, pretends to butt swat Simpson, or, I forget who's butt swatting who. But then, someone, from behind the camera is like, oh, yeah, do that again, that's funny. And so then they have to, do that a bunch of times. That's really funny. Look that up on YouTube. It's worth it to watch them dance to Taking Care of Business for several minutes. You can also kind of tell that Simpson and Spike are getting closer and hanging out more, which is another big plot point for this new season. They're drawing on the sidewalk across the street, which I've always kind of been like, when you draw on the sidewalk on your side of the street. But that would have been more awkward for filming. So I think that's why they did it the way that they did it.
Oh, also, you don't want to, mess up your own sidewalk.
That's rude, but I guess it's true.
Hey, say hi to the listeners.
Our resident cat, Cheeto, is in the mix. So if you ever hear a jingle, a meow, or something that sounds like chaunching on kibble, it's probably her. Joey shows up unexpectedly to the party, which is a little bit problematic for Craig, because Joey tells Craig, I don't think your dad wants you to be around us. And he says you talked to him. And when he realizes that Joey's already talked to his dad, then he starts leaving immediately and says, oh.
You're missing a big point, though. The reason he's showing up to the party now is because he was meant to go on a date who was Miss November.
But Miss November in 1973, so I guess she was way older than him.
Or an ago, right, or something.
I
and he
think-
just like pieced out. He's like, nah, I'm a used car salesman with a daughter. I know my worth.
Right? Very interesting. I wonder if it's like a reference at all, if they ever show a Miss November 1973 in junior high or high. I don't remember that, but that would be hilarious. Joey is showing up after his date, and once he tells...
No, he ditched out on his date. It's not even after his date. He ditched out on his date. Because, Emma's babysitting Ange because he was meant to be on a date. But he's, pieced out on the date to go to the party instead because she was an uggo.
I guess Joey's ways haven't totally changed since Degrassi High.
Really?
And he was kind of a womanizer. It's kind of a rude thing to do, is it not?
Right.
But so Craig says, "Hey, Mrs. S, thanks for no. What's her last name? Nelson. Mrs. Nelson, thanks for the hot dog." On his way out, my bad, getting ahead of myself. But he leaves with his hot dog and has to go back home. So Craig comes home. He tells his dad he's gonna go down to his dark room. His dad's kind of sitting stoically at the table.
He has those chairs that everyone has.
But when he goes down to his dark room, he sees that everything is destroyed. His dad destroyed everything. And this is the "it goes there" moment of the episode. If you were a kid that watched Degrassi on the N, that you might recognize that sound from the "it goes there" promos that they used to have. I looked forever for the promo of the girl saying "it goes there" because that's the one that I remember the most, but I couldn't find it. So, if you have a copy of it, you gotta send it to me. Craig's looking at all this stuff being all destroyed, and then his dad comes up behind him and says, "Are you looking for this?" with his photo album of the perfect family stuff he made. Albert starts hitting Craig with it. He says, "I work so hard for you," pushes him down, and he proceeds to kick the shit out of him. He seriously kicks the shit out of him. It's so intense. And Craig seriously is freaking out and scared. And his camera is smashed. And that's the end of the episode. And it's damn, it's not just bad with Craig's dad. It's really bad. he is in danger. That is the end of the episode. There is no make it through moment because this is the first two-parter, I think, because there aren't any two-parters in season 1. So we aren't even done with this plot. We're going to be picking it up in episode 2. We're going to find out what's going to happen to Craig. Is he going to break under all this pressure? What's going to happen to Albert? And will Angie be the unsung hero of the episode with a really cringy dinosaur story? You think that's going to be drama? You know it. It's Degrassi.
Thanks